Hey everyone, this is acyuta-bhava from Nightlight Astrology, and today we are going to take a look at Mercury's conjunction with Venus and Pluto, which has been happening yesterday, today. You'll still be feeling the effects of this tomorrow. We've taken a look at Venus's retrograde a number of times, Venus's conjunction with Pluto a number of times. Today we are going to add Mercury into the mix and look at the combination of Mercury, Venus, and Pluto all together. I have a number of different things I'm going to bring in today for us to look at. A few tarot cards that I threw. Also the I-Ching, and we're also going to take a look at a passage from Ren Butler's book, which you guys know I like to draw on from time to time. So that is our goal for the day. Before we dive in to taking a look at these planetary combinations, I want to remind all of you that there are now just about 2 more days, Thursday and Friday, left in my annual Kickstarter. We just crossed the 1,200 backer mark. We are trying to get to 1,367. We are now 166 backers away from crossing the finish line. So if you've already donated, thank you so much. If you have not yet, I'm going to show you how you can and how you can pick up some cool rewards if you donate between now and New Year's Eve. So we're so close to meeting our goal, and we just need one last big push here in the final 2 days. So let me show you how you can donate if you have not already. And anything and everything helps. A $5 donation, a $10 donation, but there are some really cool rewards you can pick up when you donate as well. You can pick up a video learning how that teaches you how to start a mantra meditation practice. There's the Astrology of 2022 video. I recorded that this week. That's an exclusive look at the major transits of 2022. I have a list of 4 or 5 major transits and then about 30 minor transits that I break down for the year. Really looking forward to sharing that with all of you who have donated. And there's also like a PDF calendar that we made for people so they can follow along with all of the transits that I'll be tracking on my channel for the year. That comes with that Astrology of 2022 video. There are a bunch of other videos. There's a year ahead horoscope reading. That one's really popular. Just finished Aries and Taurus yesterday, working my way through, giving you a breakdown of all of the major transits for your rising sun or rising sign horoscope for 2022. There's some other horary readings available. And then the big ones are, of course, you can get any of my online courses, Ancient Astrology for the Modern Mystic, my Year 2 program, my horary program, or my Readings and Passages program, all my 4 one-year programs in Hellenistic astrology for 50% off. So and that's even $400 cheaper than the early bird rate that we run just prior to the class starting. So it's a really great way to save if you want to study with me in 2022 or beyond. You can use them as credits whenever you like. And we will be starting new classes in June and November. So the year 1 class starts in June or November on Saturdays and Sundays. We have them start on the weekends. They're live classes, but you can follow along remotely. We have all the recordings available to you on a class website. So you can follow along at your own pace or attend live. And for that class, there's over 100 hours worth of classroom content. There's 30 classes on the year, 2 to 3 hours for each class. There's 12 guest lectures. We have breakout study sessions, tutoring staff, a discussion forum, tons of extra bonus material that you can use, homework assignments, reading, optional reading. You can ask me questions year round about everything we're studying. So you're learning how to read the natal karmic context of a birth chart in that class. And year 2, we talk about timing. How do you actually time out when the karma of the birth chart is going to appear? When will that karma around marriage appear? What are the times in life where really big events will happen in your career that are promised in the natal chart? That kind of thing. So year 2 is about timing and prediction. Horary is a specific form of prediction, very specific. For example, will I pass the exam I have to take, or when will the government's refund check arrive, or something like that. Very specific, targeted, predictive method with horary astrology. Then we have the Readings and Passages course, which is a year worth of specific craft-based discussions with live clients that I read for with targeted techniques and topics being covered in those live readings. And we also study source texts from the Hellenistic era. So those are all of my classes. They're all 50% off. You can bundle them together and save. If you put 2 of them together, you save even more than 50% off. If you put 3 of them together, it goes down again. And if you put 4 of them together, if you put all 4 of them together, it goes way down. So those are the best deals I offer of the year. I hope you'll be able to take advantage of them. We need just 167, 66 more backers, something like that, to cross the finish line in terms of our goal this year for our backer total. And we think if we hit that backer total, we'll be right around the numbers that we need in terms of all of the projects we have, our goals for our business, goals for being able to support all of the things that we do with our programs, building the community herbal medicine garden, developing our donation-based clinic, which we're hoping to launch early in 2023 at this point. So you guys are helping us do a lot of amazing things. Plus, you're just helping support the creation of free content on this channel year round. So if you enjoy this content, I really appreciate you pitching in. We're banging the drum. We've got just 2 days left. So let's see if we can get there. Thank you all for your support, everyone who's pitched in so far. One last push to go. All right, that being said, let's dive into this triple conjunction that we have. It's not technically, they're not all exactly conjoined, but close enough. Here you can see Venus, you can see Mercury, and you can see Pluto getting together. Let's go ahead and look at how this develops. Mercury's just gone over Venus, and then you're going to see Mercury cross over Pluto, and that's happening today into tomorrow, the 29th into December 30th. So that combination back to back is a pretty potent one. And it's amplifying the Venus-Pluto conjunction all over again. Even though the two have just separated, they're still within that 3-degree range that we consider to be very active. And now Venus-Pluto is being activated once more by Mercury. So you can see this in effect really all the way through Friday, the 31st, as Mercury itself gets about 3-4 degrees away from Venus, and then by Saturday, about 4 degrees away from Pluto. So you'll be feeling this really through the end of the week. Okay, and by the way, happy Jupiter into Pisces. If you missed the video I did yesterday, to be sure to check that one out. All right, so what I want to do is read you some passages and talk about some of the archetypal combinations. I'm going to sort of riff off from some of what Ren Butler says. You guys know this book, The Archetypal Universe, one of my favorite. I call it the Archetypal Cookbook. It is a fantastic resource. If you're someone who's doing astrology, I highly recommend having a copy of it at your desk because it is a really good way of just integrating or internalizing a lot of really nice combinations of adjectives and descriptions and things like that. So here's what he says about Mercury-Pluto, which we have today. A passionate and probing mind, deep insight into emotional causes and motivations, an interest in criminology or depth psychology, a gift for persuasive communication, mental struggles and obsession, fear of one's dark or shadow thoughts, harmful and destructive communication, aggressive dogma and beliefs, or crude speech. So you can hear some of the themes coming to the surface from that subterranean space. The potential for dark or obsessive thoughts. That Pluto can reveal things that with Mercury that we get very tightly wound about. You know, what's going to happen, a particular outcome in some area of our life that we get really obsessed about. The idea that, you know, some dark or some revelation can come up in speech. This is the kind of day where, like Mercury, Pluto, where I anticipate I might hear from someone or get some news that's rather heavy or dark. By the way, as Mercury was coming into the conjunction with Pluto this week, I received news that my uncle had passed away in hospice care. I knew he was in hospice care. The news came as Mercury was coming into Venus and Pluto. So receiving dark or heavy news from the underworld. If you want to think of like Mercury as like a little courier and bringing some news or information from a subterranean sort of Plutonian space. So that's one potential, is the potential to have conversations that address hidden things, deep things, powerful things, darker things, taboo things, as well as anything that could amplify obsessiveness or fear or worry or concern, news from the dead, deep dreams, and the messenger appearing in dreams. Mercury tends to bring messages. We talked actually last week, talked a little bit about Venus, Pluto, and the underworld, and talked actually a lot about hermeneutics in that video last week. And Mercury was originally called Hermes. So when you have Mercury communicating with Pluto, messages or insights from the deep can come up and reveal or show themselves. You also have the probing mind, the mind that's able to understand hidden or secretive or subtle dimensions. So just that, like, for example, right now, one of my oldest daughter, Gigi, is sort of obsessed with like puzzles, and not just puzzles, but like, what am I saying? Not the puzzles you put together, but like mind puzzles for little kids. She got this book for Christmas. Very Mercury Pluto this week, it's just decoding things. Here's a few other things he says. The probing mind, obviously, a potent blending of willpower and intellect, a relentless and profound curiosity, a gift for deep analysis and questioning, penetrating insight into emotional causes and motivations, an ability to recognize the deeper significance in small details, urges to get to the bottom of problems, the probing instincts of a sleuth or a detective. He mentions an interest in depth psychology or criminology, a study of the shadow side of the psyche, a tendency to think and talk about sex, deep and persuasive communications, intense conversations, arousing opinions, urges to speak the forbidden, blasphemy and heresy, iconoclasm. So anytime that you challenge a well-held idea, and there's almost like, even if you're doing it to provoke or to be an instigator of some kind, it can be very Mercury Pluto. The other thing that can come up here is the desire to like for example, people that are afraid to talk when they're having sex, and then Mercury Pluto comes by, and all of a sudden, the lid blows off and they're talking a mile a minute while having sex. That would be a very Mercury Pluto thing. Sorry to paint an image, put that image in your head, but but it's Mercury Pluto today, so I have to. Intense and powerful criticism. See, I remember when I was in my MFA program, there were some people who thought that it was their job to be harsh and critical, as though being harsh or critical makes you better at, as a writer. That's very Mercury Pluto. The idea that you just need this hard truth. You just need this really edgy criticism. You need to hear this. You know what I mean? It's like, well, do I? Maybe we do, maybe we don't, because Rand Butler also writes, Mercury Pluto is the destructive effect of truth-telling, the breakdown of old certainties, a transformed point of view, exploded beliefs, a penchant for dark comedy, corrosive wit. Shadow qualities that he mentions, a tendency toward mental fixation and struggle. I will tell you right now that one of the things that I've noticed in myself over the past few days has been, basically, about 4 days of eating, terribly over the weekend, and also being given an amazing popcorn maker for Christmas as my Christmas gift. And Mercury came through as Mercury's been coming through to Pluto, I've noticed that I've been obsessed about, kind of falling off the, what's the phrase? Falling off the wagon, falling off the train, something like that. And I've had to catch myself and be like, why are you obsessing? It's the holidays. Just chill out. You had 3 or 4 days worth of not eating well, and you can just get right back on and get back on track. It's not a big deal, but it's just fixation mentally. A mind ready to explode. Be, be careful of the triggery subjects right now, today and tomorrow especially. An inclination to ask loaded questions or make others confess. I remember one time, you know, I was dating somebody and they were really, this was when I was like, I don't know, early 20s. And they were convinced that, you know, I had done something wrong or was keeping a secret from them. And I remember they were just kept pressing me and pressing me and pressing me. And I thought, God, they really think that I've done something, and I can't think of anything that, you know, I've done or kept or a secret or anything. So I just made one up. And it was like, it was really benign, you know. And I'll never forget that, being like, I just have to make something up to get out of the situation because this person thinks that, you know, I'm keeping something from them. And then they were like, oh yeah, see, never doubt my intuition. And I was like, you're crazy, you know. Like that was the beginning of the end for me. And I would not be surprised if there was like a Mercury Pluto transit happening when that happened, or maybe Mercury Pluto in their birth chart or something. God bless that person. But you know what I'm saying? Muckraking journalism, the poisoned pen or tongue, devastating insults, crude speech, a foul mouth, an obsession with sexual innuendo. But also passionate and persuasive writing, a polemical or deconstructive style, a hardcore aggressive rap, he writes. Heavy sarcasm or satire. So you get a feeling for what Mercury Pluto can bring. And then we're adding Venus into the mix, this topic of sex, love, relationships, and we're mingling the aesthetic, sensual dimension of the goddess into all of this. So it's a pretty potent transit for a couple of days. I have had some very powerful dreams in the past 48 hours. Got the news that my uncle was passing. And this week have been doing some writing for 2022, looking at the astrology of 2022. Here's 20 plus pages that I have of transits that I'll be looking at in 2022. Pick up your astrology of 2022 video through the Kickstarter. But but as I've been doing that, it's been like, you know, every single transit that I'm looking at and unpacking it and trying to get to the bottom of what I think, you know, 2022's astrology is offering. So it's been this deep kind of probing research work that I've been doing. I recorded something, like literally I started recording the first take of my astrology of 2022 video. I got a ways in and realized that I had made some major mistakes in the video and had to delete it and start all over, and had a small cuss fest in an empty room by myself. So it's very Mercury Pluto. And I feel like my wife and I have been talking about like the year in review. Like at the end of the year, we tend to stay up late and talk a little bit more like, what was 2021, you know, a lot of deep insights. I feel like we've sort of leveled up a lot of ways in our marriage over the past year. You know, and there's been a lot of, as Venus turned retrograde, like a lot of reflection on where we're at. I think I shared with you guys that we're starting to transition back to having our bed to ourselves after doing co-sleeping with our kids. There's been a lot of conversation and strategizing about how to move into the next phase with our kids, and just the feeling of like reflecting very deeply on things. Especially one of the things we've been reflecting on, it's interesting, is both of our parents, since we were married and in our 30s, now in our 40s, both of our parents divorced as adults. So we were actually having some really deep conversations about like, not only, you know, just the things we're proud of with ourselves and the things we've learned, and kind of uncovering those things a little bit between ourselves, but also exploring our feelings about being children of adult divorced parents, however that phrase goes. It's an interesting, you know, adult children of divorced parents. I don't know. There's a phrase. Someone remind me of what it is. But basically, both of us, my parents got divorced the year that we got married, and then my wife's parents finalized their divorce last year. So it's just been like also this process of reflecting upon that, weirdly that's come up really strongly in the past few days with Mercury, Venus, Pluto all coming together. So I have a few more things to say about this before we go for today. And then I have an important announcement, by the way, for New Year's Eve, that something that we're going to be doing that is going to be really fun. I'm going to be doing a live stream, and I need your help. So I'll be telling you about that before we go. But I pulled 2 tarot cards to ask about what is the polarity. Sometimes I have my own ways of approaching the tarot. So this is one of the ways that I will approach the tarot. I'll ask for a polarity, 2 cards that are representing a tension, and then I'll ask for the solution in a 3rd card. So the tension that I pulled up is between the Page of Swords and the 10 of Wands. Page of Swords and 10 of Wands, as representative of an inherent tension within this Mercury, Venus, Pluto dynamic. I love using the cards as a way of free associating and starting to see elements of the archetypes that are at play that I might not otherwise see. I think the cards are fantastic for that. So if I had to talk about the Page of Wands, first of all, this person, this fellow, or this woman, whoever they might be, is loves to learn, loves to communicate, is clever, adaptable, witty, youthful, likes freedom and exploration, wants to, it's like someone who wants to have the freedom to, kind of jump around, move around. It really reminds me of almost like Mars and Gemini, which is something I have in my own birth chart. Youthful, curious, fun, adaptable, shifty. Have to be careful though, because the Page of Wands can kind of be like immature and reckless and gossipy, and the Page of Wands can, be like kind of like idleness and not doing anything constructive, or almost like a youthful immaturity or even laziness sometimes, like fun but not committed, and sometimes also like a meddler or a gossiper, or can be like just a little what do I want to say, like a little busy mentally and not so grounded. Now the 10 of Wands, the opposite tension, the tension pulling in another direction here to create kind of a tension between 2 cards. 10 of Wands has to do with like, look, hard work, discipline, finish what you've started. There's a sense of the labor of existence, the hard work. It's very Saturn card. It's a very Saturnine card. I think a little bit of Saturn in Aries with this card, Saturn in its fall. Like the desire for freedom is prohibited because of hard work and the need to finish or complete something. 10 of Wands is the final card of the suit. So here's the page that wants to have fun and do things that are new, or is a card that can indicate curiosity and exploration. And then the 10 of Wands, which is burdened with hard work. So that's an interesting juxtaposition, because Mercury Venus is very playful. Usually Mercury Venus is like writing a song or a poem, or Venus Mercury is like flirtation, for example. Mercury Pluto can also be about kind of, it can be a little deeper and heavier, but also there's like there's like code cracking and discovery. And so you get the kind of, there's an, Mercury, Venus, Pluto can be kind of together with, as far as Mercury goes, can certainly embody the Page of Swords insofar as there is a desire to explore freely and openly and without inhibition, something like that. Well, the 10 of Wands, on the other hand, is your inhibition. This is a very prohibitive card in the sense that it says, set aside the youthful dalliances. There's something serious to be said or done, or, something like that. So I also wonder about the tension inherent in this transit this week in terms of the desire for mental and intellectual and sensual or erotic depth and playfulness and freedom, versus, of course, this is all happening in the sign of Capricorn, the feeling of boundness and obligation and duty, the desire to be the other thing that I think about with the Page of Swords and the Ten of Wands is, how are we accomplishing things? These two cards tell me that you could very easily try to cut corners right now, that there could be a temptation to sort of like cheat or get, like either not complete something that you should, or to do so in a way that is sort of manipulative or dishonest, or again, trying to cut corners or something like that. So I would be just, careful. So then I drew a third card, and the third card was, what do we need to bring resolution to these tensions? And the third card was the World. So in this card, you get the card really of completion, of a transformation, of something coming full circle, and of there being a sense of completion. So everything in its right place, completing things in the right way, something with history that has to be resolved in the right way. You're almost to the finish line. Complete something in the way that it should be completed. So you get these two cards followed by this card. So when I look at that, I go, okay, there right now, there is something that needs to be finished, something that needs to be completed. And you might not be able to experience the mental or emotional freedom because you're bearing some kind of cross, you're bearing a burden. And it's about finishing it in the right way. Try to have a little bit of fun as you do. Try to stay open to different ways of doing things. It doesn't have to be as perhaps laborious, or it doesn't have to be as burdensome as you think. Maybe there's some freedom or flexibility or a slightly different way of doing something this week. Finishing a process, though, seems to be part of what is depicted here. And you having the right kind of intelligence to finish something, but also making sure that you're not cutting corners or trying to sort of weasel out of a process that probably won't be entirely as free or as fun as that Page of Swords would like it to be. And I see that and I go like, yeah, it's Mercury. Mercury does not love the confines of Saturn. And yet there's something here that's being completed. Mercury's culminating in the sign of Capricorn, and will shift into an airy, lighter sign in Aquarius very soon, but it's passing through kind of a gauntlet right now. And there's a pretty long, deep process that's going on. I drew a hexagram as well from the I-Ching. Now, the I-Ching hexagram that I drew is number 54, which is sometimes called a loveless marriage. And I want to read you something. Here is one of my favorite websites, iching123.com. So they're talking about in ancient China, if let's say a girl's older sister married, and then the younger sister is brought into that marriage as like a junior wife, or like a second wife, I think they would call it. She does not have any power in the position because she's not like her sister. She doesn't have like, she's not like the primary wife in the home. So she's in a position of subservience, and but she has her own goals, and her goals in and of themselves may not be bad, but she's not necessarily in a position to get them done. So you can erase, you don't like the ancient Chinese marriage metaphor, you can sort of erase that. It's not a huge deal. But here's what's said. The motivation and goal might be good, but the approach is incorrect. Therefore, it should not be done in a forcible way. So there also, a little bit of the Page and the Ten of Wands where, the goal, there's a goal. The Page of Wands approach could be not, I never quite fully trust the Page of, the Page of Swords. The Page of Swords approach may be conniving or maybe sort of self-serving or manipulative or something like that. So it's like, be careful of how you're getting something done, of how you're accomplishing a goal. Make sure that it's done in the right way. So it is the desired goal of the younger sister. The motivation and goal might be good. So she has her own goals, things that she wants, but she's in a position where she's like junior in the pecking order. So it's like, you should not try to do things in a forcible way. And then line 6 is changing. This is an interesting line that says, no matter how if you try to pretend to get something done, for example, let's say in this example, it's an example of her offering a sacrifice and getting no result from the offering of the sacrifice, essentially. And it's saying like, yeah, I mean, if you have an ulterior motive, and then you sort of show up and do everything that you're supposed to do, and try to play the part that's expected of you, but you don't really care about it. There's an ulterior motive, and you're just trying to get something by virtue of this kind of pretense or whatever, that this will yield nothing. Nothing will come of it. So don't try also to like feign the thing that you should do or ought to do just to get a result, because that will also lead in a bad direction. So it's funny because it really speaks to a person who's trying to get something done. They're in maybe a disempowered position, and you might be tempted to try to get something done in a way that is not really legitimate or could lead to problems for you later. I really feel like that is reflective of the page and the 10. The page is the 10 of Wands wants to get something done. It has a goal in mind. The page doesn't love that it's may have a certain kind, that there may be a certain kind of pecking order. And so the potential for deception or manipulation, and it's very reflective of Mercury, Venus, and Pluto. Like I have something that I want, and there's ways I'll twist and turn things to try to get them. So you have to just kind of be careful of that temptation right now. So that is what I see coming from the I-Ching, the tarot, just some reflections for you all. But I'd love to hear from you guys. If you want to share a story, use the hashtag grabbed and tell us how the planets are showing up and how this combination showed up for you this week. We'll share some stories next week, I hope. In the meantime, on New Year's Eve day, later in the day, I will be doing a live stream, probably in the afternoon. And in the live stream, I want to share some stories from you guys as to what was your major transit of the year. So any major transit that you had in your birth chart, any major transit that you remember us talking about on my channel for 2021. And just like we use in the grab story, use the hashtag grabbed and put my transit of 2021. Tell us what the transit is, and please leave a very brief and concise summary. We don't need a million things. So if maybe it's like Pluto was squaring my natal Venus, or maybe it was Neptune was conjoining my moon. Whatever the case might be, please keep the astrological description simple. People overcomplicate it all the time with this and add way too many details. Either that or your story sharing is not concise and simple and right to the point. So please tell us what was your major transit of 2021? What transit will you remember that really defined your year personally? Maybe it was in your birth chart. Maybe it was one we talked about. Tell us which transit it was and how it had an impact on you, or which transit to your birth chart or whatever. Use the hashtag grabbed in the comment section, or email us at grabbed@nightlightastrology.com. We do not respond to those emails. We just aggregate them. And I'm going to be sharing some of your memorable 2021 stories on Friday afternoon as we bang the drum, and also try to rally support for the Kickstarter on the last day. Remember, right now we are just 166 backers away at the time of recording this, 166 backers away from crossing the finish line. We really need your support. Pitch in. Remember, the link to the Kickstarter is in the comment section of this video, as well as the description of the video. Really appreciate it. Hope this exploration of Mercury, Venus, and Pluto has been useful for you today. Again, love to hear your stories, and we will see you again tomorrow. Take it easy, everyone. Bye.